Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Lebanon Board of Works meeting for March 25th, 2019. Our first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now we'll move on to roll call of members. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Thank you. Okay, Mayor Gentry.
Present.
Jane Taylor.
He's absent.
Absent. Bill Stoner.
Present.
Dick Robertson.
Present.
Alan Milburn.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting. Any changes or edits to the amendments or to the minutes? Okay, we entertain a motion to approve.
We approve the minutes.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes are approved. All right, on to department head reports. First up is Police Department. Chief Morgan.
Good evening. Since the last meeting, the Lebanon Police Department responded to 698 calls for service, and a total of 31 people were arrested for the following crimes: 3 operating while intoxicated, 8 possession of methamphetamine, 4 for unlawful possession of a syringe, 2 for domestic battery, 2 for driving while suspended, 1 for battery, 9 wanted on a warrant, 1 possession of controlled substance, 1 disorderly conduct. A total of 10 handgun permits were issued out by our office. On March 18th, Lebanon Police Master Chaplain Terry Thorne was elected to be the Region 4 Secretary for the International Conference of Police Chaplains. This is the governing body for Indiana and several surrounding states. It's a big accomplishment. On March 20th, the department hosted training put on by the Division of Family and Children and the Child Advocacy Center. The training was on current policies and procedures for dealing with children on certain types of calls. On March 22nd, Officer Nick Reynolds, Tyrese Griffin, Amy Dickerson, and James Newland received training and qualified with their department patrol rifles. We're still in the hiring process, and since the last meeting, we're still in the background stage. The background should be in this Thursday. And I'm not sure how many we have left at this point, since they're not all in yet, but that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Any questions for Chief Morgan?
No.
Any questions for the public? Okay. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Next up is Fire Department. Chief Batts.
Good evening, everyone. Since the last Board of Works meeting, Lebanon Fire has made 135 emergency calls of service, logged 464 training hours, performed 27 commercial inspections, installed 2 car seats, and participated in 2 public education events. On March 17th through the 23rd, firefighters Jason Adams, Zach Ruark, Sam Doherty, and Chad Hale participated in a week-long high-angle rope rescue class. It's a very challenging class. I've taken the class myself. Very happy that they stepped up to do it. This will assist our firefighters in grain bin rescues, high-angle rescues off towers, and anything of that nature. So it was a great class. It received very high reviews from them. On March 21st, Deputy Chief Robert Wiry and I attended a one-day RTF school. That's Rescue Task Force. The National Fire Protection Agency has put together, they call it their 3000 series, and it has to do with active shooter scenarios, and it's partnering police, fire, and EMS and constantly evolving the techniques that we use in active shooter situations, whether it would be in an open forum or in a school setting. It was a great class, came away with a lot of great information, and we're looking forward to getting together with our brothers and sisters in law enforcement and putting together a new updated plan. On Wednesday, March 23rd, Lebanon Fire will be participating in Career Day at the Lebanon High School. This will give high school students the opportunity to meet and greet firefighters and learn how to take the career path into the fire service. On Tuesday, March 19th, Boone County participated in the statewide tornado drill. During the drill, we did find that we have 2 sirens that are down. They're located on Mount Zion Road and Enterprise and John Shaw Road. Parts have been ordered for each of those sirens, and we look for them to be repaired in the next 2 weeks. That's all I have this evening.
Are those, remind me, are those city sirens or those EMA sirens?
Those are city sirens.
City sirens, okay.
City sirens.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Any questions for Chief Batts?
Who maintains those sirens?
We do. It's
Okay.
a line item in our budget. We took this on about 5 years ago, kind of floated around to different agencies. We've been actively involved in it, so we've taken it on and to handle the city maintenance for our sirens.
Okay.
Any questions from the public? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up is Parks Department, John Messenger.
Good evening. Registration for our 2019 Co-Ed Softball League is now open. Give us a call or stop by the office. Phone number is 765-482-8860 for your registration packet. First game will begin May 19th, which is Sundays. We're looking forward to our daddy-daughter dance this year. Already have about 220 signed up for the dance. It's going strong. It's a great event that we have. It's nice to see all these dads walking in and all excited about taking their little girls to a dance. We are preparing for our Easter egg hunt this year as well. I want to thank Miss Patty Bohannon and her class. They stuff the eggs for us every year. We sure do appreciate that, especially since we have 10,000 eggs that go out, and they're gone in about, what, Matt, 5 minutes?
If that.
Yeah, if that, maybe 20 seconds would be closer, wouldn't it? But anyway, we want to thank her. The hunt will begin at 10:30. The splash pad is making great progress. Concrete's being poured. Sanitary lines were going in just a little bit ago, and really shaping up and looking very well. They're doing a nice job on that project. The dog park is also making great progress. We're installing drainage today and tomorrow. There again, the fence went in. We put the post in. They sat real good over the weekend and stretched the fence. We can't put it all in until we level some of it out, but looking forward to that. The signage, that'll go in the next 2 weeks also. Looking forward to that. We'll roll something out probably at the next meeting of signing up for the dog park and getting passes. It's pretty neat. I think the mayor and I worked on that along with John Lashley and Shirley McLean, but there's an app that you actually get on your phone to get in the park. It's pretty cool. When you walk up to it, it'll tell you you're about ready to enter the dog park. It's really neat. You can also go key fobs, but anyway, real excited about that project. Also, preparing for our busy pool season. This Thursday, we'll finish our recertifications for the older lifeguards. Every 2 years you need recertified, and then the ones that, the new ones coming on. I think all entailed, there's 17 that are getting recertified or certified out of our 44 lifeguards that we have this year. Looking forward to that, getting things starting there. They also have some progress on painting the pool. They started it last week. They're blasting it, and then they'll be painting it as soon as temperatures come up to par. Looking forward to that too. It's going to look really nice. They are the ones that originally painted the pool, so looking forward to that. All restrooms are now open, but we will close them at night, try and get some heat on them. Came in Saturday morning and we had frozen toilets. Nothing like it. No pipes busted, but it's still up and down. These temperatures are ridiculous, but they are open and ready for use. Good luck to the Lebanon varsity baseball team tonight. They kick off their season at 6 o'clock tonight against Central Catholic, and we have a great pitcher. He was signed as gave his verbal commit as a freshman to Cincinnati. He's a sophomore this year, throwing some real heat. So if you want to see a good game, come out to the ballpark anyway. It should be really successful season. We wish him the best of luck and everybody stay safe. But that Harker boy is something to watch. We have all kinds of colleges coming in wanting to see him. If you can't be there, it's on Radio Mom tonight too. So Scott Carney's out there, does a great play-by-play. If you can't make the game, got to listen to it. 91.1 FM.
You got all your plugs in, John.
Sound like a commercial to me.
They're awful good to us.
Sounds like it, doesn't it?
They're awful good to us, they are. Scott does a great job play-by-play, too. Nothing like Harry Carey, but he's close, man.
Any other questions for John?
I got one, John. Have
You got it.
have you all come up with sign the rules or whatever, decide what the rules are going to be on that dog park yet?
Yes, absolutely. We have the rules, and the signage will go in, obviously, when we open it up. And John Lastly from John Lastly Outdoor Solutions is going to help us also with the entryway and kind of guide us how to do the laying of that. But yeah, the rules will be right up front. And when they sign up and register, they will also be signing their liabilities and also see a copy of the rules at that time, too.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? No. Any questions from the public? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up, Engineering Department, Tom Krulik.
Good evening, board members. Engineering update for tonight, starting off downtown. Lots of work going on, especially with the warmer weather. We're all excited to really get into the swing of things. Phase 6, as I would refer to it, is from Patterson west on Main Street. So that also includes some of the water main that runs up Lafayette Avenue. So Lafayette Avenue water mains were installed last week from Maine to Washington. Also work completed since we last met Phase 5, which is the area of Main Street between Lafayette and West Street. Those water mains continue to push along, and those water mains have now been installed all the way through and across the intersection of Lafayette Avenue. Phase 4, which is back into the original contract, that first block west of 39, between 39 and West Street. All of our deep storm sewers have now been completed, and we are working as we speak on the shallow storm sewer runs that run across the street to the north to provide for curb inlet drainage. So that's the work that's been done since we last meet. Work expected before our next meeting, obviously weather pending, but we feel good with the weather trends as they're going now. Phase 5, which is again from West Street to Lafayette Avenue. They are contractually allowed to close that street on April 1st, so on Monday. We do expect them to close that street. They do have to maintain local access, but we will see construction get more extensive and the closure get more extensive as well. Phase 5, they will, once they close off the street, they will start doing the water services that go across the street. And we'll also begin demolition of the road as they begin closing things down. Going back up to the square, we're also expected this week, tomorrow actually, to start irrigation repairs around the courthouse lawn, as well as landscape installation is scheduled to start next week. So a lot more activity going on downtown. There will be some minor losses of parking spaces just for staging of that landscape material as that work commences, but look for that first week of April. Hopefully it'll be a good week to do some of that stuff with it being spring break here in Lebanon. Usually we see a little bit of a drop off in traffic during that week. Keep in mind also work that is still scheduled for the spring. We do not have a definitive schedule, but as we begin to see warmer temperatures, hopefully we'll see something definitive from our contractors. Milling and resurfacing on State Road 39. Latest we've heard is that asphalt plants will open up on April 1st, so we're excited to get that work going. And as soon as we know more there, we will update everybody. Storm sewer work and the intersection improvements just storm sewer work, at Washington and State Road 39 is also to be scheduled yet this spring. The intersections of State Road 32 and Meridian, that work is also scheduled to beginning here in the next couple weeks as the weather breaks. We've still got some pavers on the southeast corner of Main and 39 there at the corner of the Key Bank that again are dependent on the asphalt plant opening, but expected to start here shortly. And then I mentioned this last week, but we are also working to get new curbs, walks, and lighting on the west side of 39 put into the schedule as well. It's not something that was included in the original contract, but we feel pretty successful so far in managing the financials of the project, and we feel like we've got enough contingency remaining on the courthouse square contract that we can replace those sidewalks on the west side of 39.
Are we going to do that very similar to the other three sides, or just going to be sidewalk and light poles go up?
It would just be sidewalk and light poles. We weren't planning on doing the landscape beds over there, and certainly weren't planning on doing the Silvacell treatments. There's a lot of overhangs on the west side of 39 that additional lighting or trees would get into. So rather than trying to work around that, we plan just to basically replace it how it is today. Yes, there are some old tree grates along the west side of 39, but trees have long since been removed, and there's been some large flower pots put over the tops of those. But the plan would be just to replace all the sidewalks, bring all the sidewalks up to ADA compliance. That's not including some of the thresholds and doors that go into those businesses are way out of compliance, but at least we can bring up the public walk to compliance.
What about the, I'm assuming the two lights at the land place?
Royal Title?
Yeah, I'm assuming those two old lamps will be taken out.
Good question. We're working with them and trying to get a definitive answer. Certainly if they're okay with those being taken out, we see those as private light fixtures in the public right-of-way, so I would prefer them to be taken out, but I don't think we're going to force anybody into that. We'll have to see what how Royal Title feels about that, though. We're willing to accommodate them, but only to a certain extent, of course.
Where the trees were and old flower pots, can we replace those with flower pots so we can get something over on that side so it looks a little on that side of the square?
Certainly.
If we're not putting trees back.
We could look into that. I would just say we'd probably want to look at flower pots more, in keeping with the style of the new street furnishings downtown, rather than the concrete pots that are out there. But we can look into something like that. Sure.
The challenge on that side too is that sidewalk is not as wide as some of the other ones around too, so there's not as much width there. It's
a little more restrictive in places. Yeah,
sure.
That's true. Yeah.
Sure. Another.
No,
Kevin's night for questions from Dick, because I got several.
go ahead.
The west side of the square, that's part of our project on repaving, or is that NDOT's project to repave?
Well, we are required to repave the areas we had to remove for utility work, and we still have some more utility work to do over there. But the entire repaving of 39 was not included in the contract. It was just patching. We have thought about that, although I don't know if our contingency can really stretch that far. It would be nice if we could see the entire block milled and resurfaced just to clean it up. There's a lot of patchwork that had to be done out there for the construction, but our current contract and our current permits, keep in mind, did not have any work over there on 39. So any of this work we're talking about will require new permitting through the state.
Anything we could do to, and I'm sure you guys have. I'm just trying to get this out for the public thought anyway. Is there any thought of trying to convince NDOT that we would sure like to get at least some new paving on 39 from, what is that, northwest all the way across to 32? So it kind of looks good all the way going through there.
Yeah.
And then 32 needs it all the way.
Yeah, I think I'd rather have them pave all of 32, but
that needs it.
Well, 32 is scheduled for repaving next year, which
I don't know.
I know you're an asphalt guy, so you can look at 32 and know it's not going to make it. But I know there is a DES number that is already out there for the repaving of 32. It's like from Enterprise Boulevard all the way through town. And that's scheduled to bid at the end of this year for 2020 construction. They did some strip patching last year and the year before because it's just not holding up the way they had planned for. But I don't think we'll see it go much sooner. But I think you'll see 32 is going to continue to deteriorate, and will even get even worse through next winter too.
Okay, I'll apologize if I missed it. Meridian Street from Main to 32, is that going to be resurfaced?
That is on our resurfacing schedule for this year.
Okay. Now, my next question.
Sure.
Which and this is kind of for everybody back home watching on TV, the comments that I hear from a lot of people of how much money the city is spending on these projects, and it's millions and millions of dollars, and for what little bit we see, I say, you and I know, on top. Because the majority of the cost in these projects is actually just what underground is.
Right, and I think if you were to go back and look, and we have this well documented, well, the stuff on top was in just as bad a shape as the stuff underneath. We had water mains that were at least 60 years old, and some people would argue that some of them dated back well beyond that. We did find a small piece of wooden water main in the street, actually, that was not in service anymore, but some very old infrastructure in that area. But, you know, the water mains were in bad shape. They were undersized. A lot of the water main infrastructure was inoperable. We couldn't turn valves to close the water mains down in places. The street sidewalks were incredibly deteriorated. The asphalt was even nearing the end of its useful life. So there was a lot of both surface and subsurface repairs that had to be done regardless. You know, so the cost that we spent, with the exception of going from asphalt to pavers, or the exception of the stone wall around the courthouse, those are really the only upgrades to the project. You know, you might argue that the alignments are a little different, that the sidewalks are different, but for the most part, it was a replacement job, with the only upgrades really being the pavement surface and the courthouse wall. Lighting fixtures were also, again, in disrepair and needed to be replaced. So, you know, a lot of this stuff had lived well beyond its useful life. I believe we had pretty good records that show the last time it was overhauled was 1987, so it was well over 30 years old and well past its useful life. And so the first contract was $7.2 million, and that included 3 sides of the square and that first block of Main Street west of 39. So we spent, if you prorate that, we spent about $5.5 million on the square itself. You know, that's a far cry less than what we're seeing from a lot of our neighboring communities on what they're spending on downtown revitalizations, or those communities that don't have a downtown, what they're spending on creating an urban core for their cities. So, you know, I think the city of Lebanon stands to be in a pretty good position, that we had pretty good bones to begin with, and we just really needed to update it because it was near the end of its life. And we've seen investment because of that. The Jackson group that's restoring the building at the corner, the southeast corner of Washington and Meridian, is an excellent example of that. But I would also state that we've heard from Forza Land Development, we've heard from Chris Matthews Land Development, we've heard from Kenmar Real Estate, who are the ones doing the intersection of 32 and 65. All 3 of those developers have said they wouldn't be in Lebanon if they didn't see that Lebanon was investing in itself. And they really like the fact we're investing in our downtown, investing in our core, and that was a big part of their decision to invest in Lebanon. So I think we're already seeing dividends being paid for, I think, what is a relatively small investment into our core.
I got one more question.
Sure.
And then I'll let you off the hook here, and then the other guys can have you. I get this a lot from people, and most of them are, I'll say in my age group or a little above maybe. They have difficulty turning, I'll say right on to Lebanon Street off of Washington and Main because of the big flower pots and our little walkway guard around there and so forth. My suggestion is, and this may happen once that is resurfaced, that block is resurfaced, new striping goes in and everything. But my suggestion on the corner of 39 and Washington Street and 39 and Main would be to push those turn lanes back where people are turning left down Washington and Main off
Sure.
of 39. Push those stop bars back
Stop
on
bars
39.
back. Yeah.
That allow people to make that turn a little easier, because I think as the older people make that turn, it kind of scares them. They think they're getting in that lane.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate that I get to drive in a lot of communities that are under construction, so I drive around a lot of orange barricades and a lot of tight spaces. And I've made it a habit of coming into Lebanon every time I come into town to drive through town and to make those turns, okay?
Yeah.
Not to test them, but to get used to making those turns and make the turn and get into the lane.
Sure.
Okay? And I can see where some of the people they're so worried that they're getting too close here that they're not going to make it. But I think if we push that stop bar back for that turn lane, I'm probably like everybody else that saw on Facebook where a semi driver didn't make the turn and drove up over the ramp. Well, he's in a spot he's not supposed to be. And, and they try hard, I know.
Yeah.
And they do the best they can. But I'm telling you, it's not going to be the first curb that a truck driver drove over. So,
Sure.
Anyway, that was my suggestion. You might talk with NDOT at the time that becomes, and see if that's feasible to work it out in the way to get cars into the lane.
We can look at that, and I would say that's a problem. I see that as a frequent problem, people pulling forward of the stop bars, people pulling into the ramps, the crosswalks. That's a problem. I'll be honest, that was probably a problem before the reconstruction.
Yes.
But certainly it does compound the issue now. The trucks can make the turn, actually, without even hitting the curb. That truck that I know the video you're talking about, it went over the curb, but I will say it actually didn't get into the walkway. It was just on the protective curb, and it served its purpose. We have no truck signs in the areas leading into downtown. We're actually going to replace those because we've heard some complaints from downtown businesses that some of their delivery drivers are thinking they can't deliver to them. So we've already ordered, we've been working with the police department who have ordered signs that would say, I don't remember the exact wording, but something to the effect of it's through traffic only is prohibited, that deliveries are not prohibited. So we're going to get those signs as soon as they come in and installed.
To tell,
But
you're going to have deliveries to businesses, yeah.
But the lanes are 11.5 to 12 foot wide. Those are some of the widest lanes we have in town. I can show you streets where our lanes are as small as 8 feet wide. The radiuses are there to make the turns, for even trucks to make the turns. So it is designed to accommodate all this, and to and the overarching principle of the design is really to protect the pedestrians,
right.
To force people to slow down. Yes, you're going to have visual obstructions that will tell you psychologically to slow down, and that's what we want people to do. We want to build an environment that is as much, if not more, for the pedestrians than it is for the cars. So, but
you've used up your time.
I've used up all my time, and
Thank
John's
you.
got a
Thank you
stopwatch
for-
running. So
Thank you for answering the questions.
I just wanted to make sure I understood on the west side of the square.
Yes.
When you indicated you're going to replace all that concrete, those steel grates, there's a couple of them, I think, that
There's
are on.
two, yes.
Two. Those are going to come out.
those would come out.
So it'll just be concrete there.
Yes.
No replanting of a tree or something in those existing grates then.
We weren't planning to, but I'll be honest, if this is something that we need to look at, I think it creates some practical difficulties putting trees back in, at least on the tree planting patterns that we've established on the other sides because of those awnings on the buildings, at least especially on the south side, south of the alley where Cowan's is and those other businesses. But we can look into that and try to do that. I will say we probably wouldn't want to make the investment for the underground silver cell systems, because we just don't have the infrastructure on that side of the street to accommodate those. But
I don't have strong feelings about that one way or the other. I'm just trying to make sure I understood that those are coming out.
Yes.
Unless something happens that, hey, you want to put them back or put new
Right.
plantings in. But the other piece you mentioned, that sidewalks would be replaced up to the business thresholds.
yes.
And I want to make sure I understand what the threshold is. You're talking about the entryway that's indented or set back from the
Well,
front
it
of the building?
depends. It's really to the edge of our right-of-way. So some of those buildings have a setback that is a sidewalk or is a concrete walk that is outside of the public right-of-way. So we would not be replacing that. Some of the doors is all the way out to the public right-of-way. We would be just trying to reconstruct our areas to the edges of the public right-of-way. I will say there are some businesses down there that have such a steep slope on that stepped back area of walk that there is no way we can make it ADA accessible, not without significantly redesigning and reconstructing the entire street. There's just some very steep thresholds or entry walks there that we won't be able to accommodate ADA access on all of those.
And I don't really know what condition those thresholds are in. I thought that some on the south side were in pretty bad shape. And it was a matter of if you're going to replace the sidewalks and bring that up to really nice conditions, it would be great if the business owner would straighten out their thresholds. And I don't know, while you're doing the work, it would seem like it would be a great time to do that if they were interested.
Yep. We can look at that, and some of them that are not as extreme of a slope, we have, as a matter of practice on the other sides of the square, went ahead and replaced some of those concrete areas. But where it is really, really steep, we try to avoid those areas. But certainly the areas that are more closer to an acceptable slope, we have replaced the concrete all the way back in those areas. We've done that on several businesses, and never asked for any compensation from those businesses. We're just trying to clean things up as best we can.
That's it. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions on downtown?
Yeah, any more thing for downtown?
One more.
I think it's more in his report probably, so.
Okay. I'll be brief with the rest of it. Northern Interchange announcements for the infra grant are expected in June. No further updates there. Pavement resurfacing, again, we're holding off on the bidding of those projects until we see the community crossing announcements. Community crossing announcements were supposed to happen mid-March. Here it is the last week of March, and we have not seen anything.
I talked to the NDOT commissioner last week, and I think it will be soon, so.
Okay.
He didn't say exactly when, but he said it should be soon.
I would be shocked if it's not in March, so
Yeah.
we only have a couple of days, so we'll see. I'll keep you all posted. Sidewalk replacement program, again, that's in full swing. We're planning to start Lafayette Avenue sidewalk work from where the sidewalks end, just north of the railroad bridge, and get those sidewalks extended all the way up to and crossing Camp Street, or crossing onto Camp Street. We had some utility conflicts come up today, actually, with some of our utility locates that happened. We're going to be working through those next couple days and try to resolve some of those. We're also getting quotes for right-of-way staking. We're planning to stake the right-of-way for the areas north on Lafayette Avenue and Witt Road. As we were doing some site reconnaissance in the last couple of weeks, we noticed some monuments out there that conflicted with where we thought the right-of-way was. So we're going to get those things verified before we move any further with bidding of those projects. But hope to have that back on track here within the month of April, and definitely don't see any problem on getting those sidewalks in this summer. We are also looking at the pedestrian improvements, traffic calming devices that are going to go in around the schools. Some of these are signs, some of these are temporary things, but we're going to do that work. Those items have all been ordered and shipped and should be here this week, and we're planning to install those next week. No real updates on the Big Four Trail. Unit price bids, we are opening here later tonight. Those are for our standard unit price materials for the street department. And Indianapolis Avenue Phase 2, just remind everyone to be cautious down there with the water main relocation work. I believe today marked the first day that a temporary traffic light went up, so there's only one lane of traffic in that area, so be mindful of that. And Grant Street, again, working with NDOT to allow us to combine the portion of that project that is on William Street with the county's bridge replacement project. We got a preliminary approval from NDOT that we can do that. We just have to formalize that approval in the next few days so we can move that forward. And with that, that is all I have.
Thank you, Kevin. Dare I ask if there are any more questions from the board?
No, I don't have any.
Questions from the public? Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Kevin.
All right, next up is Planning Department, Ben Bontrager.
Good evening, board. Should I just start by asking if you have any questions, or?
I'm saving them.
I'm saving them? All right. Well, you know how to get a hold of me, so in case there's any afterwards.
Oh, no, we're not waiting that long.
Not waiting that long. Planning department continues, I think, to kind of ramp up for the spring. We did an additional 36 building inspections in the last couple of weeks, and we issued 46 permits, which is a lot. So I think we're really starting to see ramp up there. We did issue 6 new residential permits in the last couple of weeks, so that's a good sign for this year. And then 1 new commercial permit, which happens to be the hotel, the Hampton Inn in the business park. So they did pull the permit, and he indicated that they would be starting to move dirt in the first part of May. So we will see, hopefully, if that happens, but he is ready to go. He pulled all his permits today. In terms of special projects, comprehensive plan continues to move forward. Right now, our consultant is working on our list of goals and objectives, really just to kind of fill out all the information associated with those. They expect to start providing us drafts of all this information by the end of this week or first part of April. So we'll be starting to review some specific information that's going to go into the comprehensive plan. Only other thing is we've got a couple of staff members that are at the Main Street Now conference, which is fairly straightforward. It's a conference focused on downtowns and innovative ideas and best practices that people are doing to really reinvigorate, re-energize their downtowns. So that's going on first 3 days of this week. So we are looking forward to some of the ideas they may bring back with us.
Where's that at?
It's actually in Seattle.
Oh, okay.
So they're looking at some interesting things they've been able to do in and around Seattle, and particularly in some of the neighborhoods as well. So looking forward to seeing what kinds of things were implemented on larger scales that we might be able to bring back to Lebanon. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Ben. Any questions for Ben from the board?
Nope.
Any questions for the public? Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Got off easy. Next up is Street Department and Stormwater Department. Dave Newell.
How you doing? Let's see, the street, we've been out, very busy with patching holes still. We're kind of slowing down a little bit, like Kevin said, trying to get, instead of cold patch, get some hot patch that'll last. So we pulled off a little bit because that's supposed to open up the next couple days. So get stuff that lasts this time. Not that it doesn't, it's just temporary usually for the winter. So we have had the chipper truck out, been pretty busy with it, so that's going well. Sweeper's getting ready to go into the shop so we can start this season. We had a wiper motor go out on us, and it's just too hard to see with it raining like that. But it shouldn't be out more in a day or two, and then we'll start on our sweeping schedule. Got it going in good. It was actually at the shop. We went and got it back before they started working on it because our radios are being installed this week. So that's going real well. I think they have 3 trucks left. So we'll have all new radios in the trucks. Myself, Kevin, Lana, and Craig will be attending a Pazer rating class at the fairgrounds tomorrow, Tuesday the 26th. So that should be real good and informative. Also coming up, or not coming up, at the end of April, spring cleanup will be Friday, April 26th and the 27th, 7 to 4 at the street department. Both days, rain or shine, so it's on regardless. There will be no electronics or televisions. They will not be accepted this year. It's considered e-waste, and it's real hard for Rays to get rid of now, so there's a whole process they got to do, so we just eliminated it totally. Okay. You can still do it through Rays, it's just not at this cleanup. There will also be no hazardous waste materials, no brush, no tires, no oil-based paints or drywall, no roofing materials, but we will accept refrigerators and air conditioners. You don't have to pay for that stuff, they can come. there's no fee. But on the same weekend, the Saturday, the 27th, from 9 to 2, the Boone County Highway Department will be hosting a hazardous waste, so you can take it there. So it's kind of, they go in hand a little bit usually, so you can get rid of paint, tires, I believe they take, and so they try to do it at the same time, I guess, or it just felt like that, but usually it seems like it's the same time as ours. That's really all I have. We'd like to wish Tim Shoemaker a speedy recovery. He had surgery today, so we'll be waiting on him to return, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Any questions for Dave from the board? No. Any questions from the public? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And Joe is actually at that Main Street Now conference, so he will not have a report tonight either. So, on to old business. The item I have on my agenda that I forgot to put on yours is the bid opening for our unit price bids. So this time, Rob, will you help us open our unit price bids?
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Board, the first one received today, March 25th, is from Triangle Asphalt Paving. So they list the various items in here, and I'll have Kevin and Dave kind of look through this, but at least the first one is item number 1, quantity 2,500 gallons. Their base bid price is $4.75, and they provide a total figure here of $11,875. Item number 2 is 100 tons, more or less, and that's a base bid price at $87 for $8,700. Item 3 is 100 tons, more or less, of number 8 binder at $85, so for $8,500. They have another item 3 at 100 tons, more or less, number 9 binder at $85, so again, $8,500. And their fourth item is 1 SYD 2-inch asphalt milling at $5.60. I believe that is it through here.
Yep.
So the next one was received on March 20th from Napa, Maxwell Automotive and Group. And they list a number of items. Item 1055930, quantity 55-gallon drum at $415. Next item is 1074894, 55-gallon drum at $545. Next one is item number 57, and it's pertaining to RT2 grease number 2, $2.95 per tube. Next item number is 51, EP2 premium multi-purpose grease at $2.95 per tub. The next item is 1 gallon of Napa antifreeze at $9.69. And the last one is 55 gallons of antifreeze at $465. The last one is from Milestone Contractors, received on March 22nd. So in the asphalt, they bid for item number 11, $57.25. The next item of asphalt, NDOT number 8 binder at $53. And then at NDOT number 9 binder, $54.50. Their winter mix is $130. If that's picked up by the city. If they deliver it, their winter mix is $138. I believe that's all. Let me double check that. Yep, that's it.
Thank you. You know, if I can get copies of those, we'll prepare a bid tab and bring that back to you at the next meeting for authorization.
Okay, very good. All right, that concludes what I have for old business. Anything from the board?
No.
Okay, we'll move on to new business then. First item up here is the contract approval for Umball and American Structure Point concerning the park impact fee study. This funding was approved at our last city council meeting, so just looking for authorization from the board to allow me to sign on your behalf and execute that contract pending any final legal review from that. Any questions or feedback from those contracts?
I've only got one, and it's really just kind of a wording error addition. Rob, you might take a look at it. It's in the structure point proposal. Have you seen it?
I have a copy of it now.
Okay. You got it with you?
I do.
What I circled there talks about the hourly, it's kind of confusing where it says the hourly rate not to exceed 7,500 in it. You know, to first glance, it makes it sound like the hourly rate is $7,500 and not total cost, not to.
Yeah, that needs to be reported.
Yeah, it should be total cost not to exceed.
That's what
$7,500.
That's really what it implies, but then.
Yeah, that's what it was implied. It just, when you first read it, it makes it sound like the hourly rate, not to
It
exceed
should be-
$7,500.
Billed at an hourly rate for a total compensation not to exceed
Yeah, that's what it should
7,500.
say.
Yeah.
So, I'm okay by just changing that in our agreement and sending it back like that, so that we made those changes as opposed to having another agreement sent back.
We can do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Other than
Any other concerns from the board? Ben, do you want to say anything, or you just were answer questions?
If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, with that then, would entertain a motion to approve the contract, the park impact fee study contract, pending those final edits and final legal review.
I'll make a motion, we'll approve the contracts with Structure Point with the amendments changes in their agreement and with Umball for the Lebanon Park impact fee study.
Okay, so we have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Those are, yep, can you, is part of your motion to authorize me to sign on the board's behalf?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, yes.
All right, let's clarify that. Next up is the Abner Longley splash pad change order.
Thank you all. This is for your consideration tonight, change order number 1 for the Abner Longley splash pad. This was a change order we knew would be here. This is not an actual change in conditions, but the original bid documents left some things to be determined with the modifications to an existing pump house building that we're converting into a pool equipment house. So our the change order tonight is for those modifications to that building that include quite a lot of different stuff, from roofing updates to some masonry repairs to installing new doors, to some other electrical and mechanical improvements that are needed to convert that building to its future use as a pool equipment building. And again, so this was something that we had as a placeholder in our original project, something we had a placeholder in the budgets that were approved. We had a placeholder of $50,000 to $75,000 originally from the consultant. We were hoping it'd be closer to 50, but it turns out as we've worked through all these details, and I got to thank John and his crew for doing a lot of heavy lifting on value engineering here and getting this cost down a little bit. It was higher when we first started back in January and February. So right now, the total for this change order for these building modifications is $71,767. And again, we have that in our budget that you've already approved. We're dipping a little more into our contingency than what we had originally planned for, because we were hoping it'd be closer to the $50,000 side.
Right.
But this is in line with what the consultants told us it would cost.
So there's not an additional appropriation associated with this? It's already
No
booked.
additional
You
appropriation.
already have the money, all right.
Any questions for Kevin concerning this from the board?
Nope.
Okay, then this time then I would entertain a motion to approve the change order number 1 for the splash pad.
I make a motion we approve change order number 1 for the park splash pad.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, that is approved. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
All right, are you here for the MOU too, or is that Ben? Or Rob?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, and finally, we have the City of Lebanon and Boone County, Indiana Memorandum of Understanding concerning the construction of the Southern Lee Courthouse ramp.
Yep. Pretty self-explanatory, or at least hopefully it is. This is just a memorandum of understanding, us working with the county in order to create some efficiencies from the county and the city's perspective. We're creating this memorandum of understanding so that we can adopt their updates to their ADA ramp on the south side of the building, south side of the courthouse, into our current construction contract. So that's all this memorandum is just basically agreeing that we're going to run those ADA ramp improvements through our contract, but they're going to pay 100% of the cost. Rob, I miss anything on that? I think there's a lot more legalese to it, but that's the gist of it.
Is White Construction doing this?
White Construction will do the work. They will bill the city. The city will turn that bill over to the county for payment.
Now, how's that going to work on the south side? How's it work on the south side?
The modifications are actually pretty extensive. There is, as you know, on the south side of the building, there are granite steps that go up to the courthouse. They are bringing in new granite to match those steps, and basically a new piece of granite that will extend the floor elevation of the courthouse out over those steps, and then the existing walk will be raised up to create a ramp, so that you will have a continuous ramp with no steps going all the way up to that new threshold that they'll create. And they're also replacing the doors under a separate contract to eliminate the thresholds as well.
That, I'm assuming, ADA acceptable?
Absolutely.
Grade?
Yes. Yeah, that's the whole point of.
I mean, I know that's the point. It just seems awful steep to me, so.
It is, but you know, early on, over a year ago, we were thinking about this, almost 2 years ago, on how we set our walk elevations out at the street so that we could accommodate this design.
So you're talking about the steps at the courthouse where you actually go up and in.
Yeah.
And then the walk's going to be raised. What about the steps out on the south edge where the sidewalk meets the street?
There'll be no steps there either, so there'll be
That's coming
one.
out too then, just to make a ramp?
Yes, those steps that are there now are temporary, so there'll be a continuous ramp from our sidewalk that we've already installed all the way to a new piece of granite that is at the floor elevation for the courthouse. The slope of the ramp does require them to install a railing, so there will be a railing that goes up one side of that ramp, just because it's right at the thresholds for maximum slope. And then there'll be some steps that will come off of this new raised granite porch, if you will, that will go down to the walks that wrap around the interior of the courthouse lawn.
Because the current courthouse is not ADA compliant. The ramp they have that goes down to the lower level is not actually ADA compliant, but they're using that as
Correct.
an ADA compliant ramp. So that's
That
part of it.
ramp will stay in place. Some people ask that this is not replacing that. They will keep that ramp on the east side of the building in place just for prisoner entrance into the courthouse.
Oh, okay, this is making.
This is the
south
making
side
the-
handicap is up. Is it gonna be all the way across on all 4 doors, or just the 2 doors?
Just, yes,
the
all 4 doors on
Four
the
doors?
south side, yes, yes. And they're,
I'm gonna ask another crazy question.
okay.
How are we gonna control the skateboarders?
Well, I believe there are provisions in the ramp that they're, or not the ramp, the handrail that they're designing to keep the skateboarders off of that. Although there's no foolproof way to do that. I will say the grounds of the courthouse are under 100% coverage for video surveillance. So, and they do
But
monitor
when we're
that.
done
Yes.
with the ramp,
It's theirs,
that's their problem.
yes.
County.
They're essentially asking us, since we already have a contractor
I
on site.
understand. No, I totally understand.
Yeah.
I just know what's gonna happen, you know? And
We were originally-
Well,
Sounds
we
like
put-
I'm gonna
hey,
get
we
that
put
skate,
the-
sounds like I'm gonna get that skate park I always wanted.
Yeah, there
It's
you go,
gonna be
Dick.
right there.
Well, we did put the skate stops on the wall, right? So we did
Yeah,
our
they
part
got
on
it.
it. So.
They got about that. Okay.
Yeah, we were originally planning to do this with the bulk of our construction last year, but unfortunately, their design just wasn't ready for the white to price out. It is now, and that's
So
why.
will we, is there a good possibility, weather permitting, I know, that we could have everything done around the square by 1st of July?
I think that's a good possibility. I think as it stands right now, I mentioned earlier, landscaping is scheduled to go in next week. We still have to do the work in the intersection of Washington Street. There is also some water main work in the intersection of Main Street, both those being 39 intersections. Then we got to do the resurfacing, but that work should be easily achievable by July 1. I'm not for sure how long the ramp construction will take at this point because there's just some long lead items on the granite order. But in theory, yes, they will start construction of the ramp around May 15th, and that is their plan to be done by July.
Okay.
We'll see what they get into. Obviously,
I'd just
working
like
with
to
a historic
see us
structure, it can be
Get
complex.
lucky and have everything done by 4th of July anyhow.
That would be the hope.
You know.
That's our intention.
Okay.
Okay. So I know this isn't quite finalized from a legal standpoint, so just would ask for approval of the memorandum of understanding pending final legal agreement with the county on this.
I would make a
Oh, wait,
motion,
you want to say anything, Rob? Sorry. Yeah, then allow me to execute it on the board's behalf.
I'd make a motion to approve the City of Lebanon and Boone County memorandum of understanding for the construction of the Sudley Courthouse ramp pending legal review and approval.
Okay.
I'll
We have a
second
motion
that.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that is approved. Very good. That's all what I have for new business. Is anything else from the board? Okay, then we'll go on to claims and would entertain a motion or question.
I will make a motion that we go ahead and pay the claims, but I do have one question of why this one payment for a laptop was taken out of Casino Riverboat, and maybe should it not be taken out of a capital item somewhere else?
Yeah, so the Casino Riverboat now is part of our community development fund. That's how we budgeted that as a city council last year. So that laptop is for community development purposes. Joe, his department does not have a budget from a IT perspective. And so that laptop is to allow us to do, we're actually working on a Lebanon podcast and try to give people updates.
He had a laptop before though, didn't he? Did he
No, he
did
does
he have a
not.
laptop or?
No, he just has a
Said-
desktop.
Just desktop in
Correct.
his office?
And that's kind
Is
of.
that still
it's-
working?
It's bogging down with a lot of the video stuff we're doing, so this is kind of a video editing, podcast editing type laptop with that, so, yeah. But that's why it's coming out
I
of
just
the.
feel like it probably should better come out of a capital item somewhere. So.
It's not something that's used a ton, but that's why it's the community development fund, and because it's his department on it. So.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yep.
Okay. Would entertain a motion to approve the claims.
I make a motion, we approve the claims.
Motion to approve the.
Dick already made a
That's what I
motion.
thought.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I went ahead and made a motion subject to that, just to that question.
Okay, so are you motion to
Yeah,
approve all the claims?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve all the claims.
I'll second.
Motion, second.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, claims are approved. And any announcements for discussion? Okay, would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Our next meeting will be April 8th at 5:30 PM. Thanks for watching.
5:15.
5:15.
5:30.
5:30.